compound shapes. So you'll notice under Object you have Clipping Mask and Compound Path. Those are two options you have for working with shapes to either mask or sort of cut each other. So I'm going to go through both of those one at a time. First one I'm going to work with is the clipping mask. So let's say you had a piece of artwork. I'm just going to generate a bunch of lines. Okay, so let's just say that this is an amazing piece of artwork. It's beautiful, we love it. I'm going to group that together so that it's one piece of work. So I just went to Object, Group. So if I click on that now, it's one piece and I can move it around. Okay, let's use the pencil tool. This could be the pen tool, it could be a shape, it could be, let's just use a star now. So I'm gonna make a star, and I want to use this star to make a clipping mask. So I've got this single star on top of this separate shape. This is grouped, this is a single object. So I'm going to select both of those, go up to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. So the way this is working is that Illustrator is using the top shape, whatever it happens to be, and however it was created, to make a clipping mask of the object below. This would work with any piece of artwork in Illustrator, including an image. So if I had an image in here, let's say, I'll just pick something that I happen to have on here. Let's say this bacteria ad. So let's say I placed this image on my screen and I want to make sort of a shape around this to clip out that bacteria. I could use the pencil tool to draw whatever sort of shape I want, or I could use the star again. And as long as this pencil shape is on, or the path is on top of the image, if I select both of these and say Object, Clipping Mask, Make, it's going to clip that object. So this is a nice way to create a quick mask and use that for any layout needs that you have. Okay, if you decide you no longer want a clipping mask to be active, you can go back to Object, Clipping Mask, Release. That releases it back to its original form. Just going to Command Z, hit undo. And then you've got Object, Clipping Mask, Edit Contents. And that allows you to sort of move things around individually. So you're changing the arrangement of your clipping mask. The easier way to do that is actually to use the Group Selection tool, because then you can come in here and select the entire group and move it around within that clipping mask. Or you could come in here and select the star by itself. Same thing with this. You could select this path and move it around with just the Group Selection tool. You don't really need to use the Edit Contents tool there. Okay, so that's a clipping mask. The other thing I wanted to go through is compound shapes. So let's say I had a star, and I'll go ahead and make that black with no stroke. Now let's say we had a rectangle that was a little smaller than that. Same color, right? And let's do another one, circle. A little smaller than the rectangle, and let's do some type. And I'm going to create outlines of that type. And to do that, I just went to Command-Shift-O, or type, create outlines. It's right there. Okay, so what I want to do now is I created those in this order. First I created the star, then this rectangle, then the circle, then the type. That means this is on top of, this is the top object, which is on top, underneath this object, which is on top of this object, which is on top of this object. And I want to subtract this object so that I can see the star through it. So I could select both of those. I shift-clicked on that. I could say Object, Compound Path, Make. And so what this does is it treats it as a single object. And then go ahead and undo that and continue dragging these other objects on there. Now I can select them all. Object, compound path, make. So sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you get an error, and you have to think about the way you're doing this. So perhaps I want to come here and say object, compound path, make on just this object. Yes. So now that's working with our type. I can say object, compound path, make with this one, and I could just simply arrange this and group it. Okay, so that's a way to sort of cut, rather than having, a white rectangle on top of a black rectangle, on top of the star, with a black circle on top of the white rectangle, and then white type on top of the black. What this is actually doing is it's making it sort of one shape with one color. So I could come in here and change the color to these, and it will act as if it were one shape. Okay, so that's just a brief overview of the clipping mask and the compound path.